Trevor Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen, formerly of Clemson, now of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the highest paid quarterback per year in the history of the NFL. 5-year, $275 million American dollars down in Florida with no state income tax, with $200 million practically guaranteed and $142 million guaranteed at signing. Congrats to Trevor Lawrence.
Hey.
I will say you can find some stats, obviously, that'll make Trevor Lawrence look very good. You can find some stats that'll make Trevor Lawrence look very bad. But all the Jacksonville Jaguars are saying is we think we can win with Trevor, and if we don't have Trevor, we won't be able to win. We don't want to have to go down that road of trying to find out who our next quarterback is after giving up on a guy that we drafted number 1 overall, we had the future in, and we've seen his development. Now, there was one year where he was being coached by a college coach Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's right.
Did not work out at all in the NFL. College coach Hall of Famer was coaching him. They probably saw that up close in person and said, listen, his development for 1 year, maybe it's a little bit different. But you got old Peterson in the building, former quarterback, a Super Bowl winner, now as the head coach. You got the offense rolling. If he can stay healthy, which last year they were rolling until he got hurt. A couple different times he got hurt. I think he had a knee. I think there was a concussion. I think there was some ankle. There was a lot of shit that took place in his game, obviously dropped afterwards. But what he was doing before then was like, okay, this is the Trevor Lawrence that we had been told about since he was a freshman in high school. This was supposed to be the next one. There's photos of him coming out from high school where if you don't look at the main character of the photo and you look around, it's like, feels like this guy has some grit, some charm
for sure.
to him. And congrats to him on getting the most money of all time. Now, as an Indianapolis Colt fan, I am thankful they spent $275 million at the quarterback position, okay? Because no matter how big the salary cap gets, which it's certainly going to only continue to go up and to the right is what the NFL is, that is a high percentage per year being contributed to one position. Now, can Trevor Lawrence win these games without having to pay anybody else? They're going to find out. They believe that's the case, and good for him. Now, Dak Prescott sees this, and he gets probably pretty jacked up, if I had to guess.
Tua.
I would assume. Tua Tagovailoa, who obviously had an incredible run last year and the year before as the as the quarterback. He has eyes on this. Jordan Love, who's allegedly going to have a deal done before the season starts, has eyes on this. He's already had more postseason success than Trevor Lawrence has ever thought.
Yes.
And he's only played a couple years. So this is like a new market, new precedent. Deshaun Watson still has the highest guarantee of $230 million. Because practical guarantee, I don't. Then it's not a guarantee.
Like the injury guarantee? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
too?
And they say it's practical guarantee. Like Deshaun Watson's the only one. Like his actual guarantee at sign, $230 million. His practical guarantee, $230 million.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Practical guarantee here is like $80 million more. $70 million more for Joe Burrow. It's like that's a big difference of practical. And how does the word practical and guarantee? How are they allowed to be next to each other? I don't know definitions, but guarantee is like
it's guaranteed.
So then there's a practical guarantee. I feel like that's maybe a babyface spin on somehow that they're potentially not going to pay the people all their money, but they're saying practically it'll show up. It's like that's an interesting usage of words that I didn't know you were allowed to put next to each other, but it's a lot of money. They should be pumped, and Deshaun Watson is still the one that has the most that he's going to get guaranteed, no matter how terrible he does, no matter how many games he plays, and no matter what happens with the Cleveland Browns.
It seems like practical guarantee is the new thing they do now since we kind of realized all the bullshit behind, like, hey, the actual contracts. I mean, I didn't want to say it, but it is. It's kind of contractual mumbo jumbo, if we're being completely honest. Because when we started realizing, all these guys would get these contracts, say 4 years, $200 million, and then we'd find out what they're actually making. It's like, okay, well, that's
$82 million.
Yeah, $82 million guaranteed.
If they cure COVID, which I don't know if it's
they did already.
Well, Trent Dilfer did.
Oh yeah, that
the spray. Spray.
Had that spray.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see.
He should have got $1 bazillion.
He should have.
That spray, he just sprayed it down. COVID's dead here. Hang the sign.
Loves ball too much.
COVID don't live here.
Yeah,
how
exactly.
Come? Because of the spray. Those were wild times.
That was really cool.
To make money. He just did it to play ball.
In some of those contracts, hey man, he just wants the boys to play football.
Yeah, exactly.
They need football. You're what Tom Brady said.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of these deals for a long time, as they were being reported by actual journalists,
Oh yeah.
People that don't get things wrong. They're being reported, actual.
Of course.
Yep.
And thank God for them.
Thank you.
Thank
Hell yeah.
God.
That's right.
For them. But what was being reported is like a deal that was never going to be actually seen to fruition. It was like, okay, if you can walk on water to get the last $100 million, you can. Okay, we're going to put it right at the end.
Yep.
All you got to do is get 20 yards. You walk right across the top of this water. It's been done before, right?
Yeah, right.
It's been done before. Somebody's done it.
Documented.
That's another $200 million. If you can't do that, it's obviously not a $300 million deal. It's actually only a $100 million deal. That was shit that was being said. That was actually happening in contracts. And who was benefiting from that? Well, I guess agents would benefit from that because they were negotiating these deals that were absurd.
Right.
Like, I just negotiated hundreds of millions of dollars in contract. It was actually worth $50 million. Okay, so you didn't actually. Insiders were obviously, and news was benefiting from this. The NFL was benefiting from this because they were paying their players so much.
Business is booming.
So much money is being paid out to these guys. The people that really lost, now granted they won because they did make money, so they're in no position to complain. But the players, that money that they're never getting is announced publicly that they are getting.
Right.
So, family, friends, charitable foundations that are around you, hometown, community.
Yep.
Everybody's just like, hey. And it's like, that's not real. It does feel like we're getting to a time where shit's getting a little bit more real in the announcements. And I think the reason why it's getting that way is because the numbers are so big. So big right now that they don't have to kind of, kind of make up or kind of rig the numbers because of how big they are. $275 million is going rate for a quarterback right now?
Absurd.
Yeah. Who hasn't won a playoff game?
That is so much money. Like Dak Prescott.
He's got one.
Do not sign any deal. Chargers.
That's right.
Four picks in the first half. Comes back.
Exactly.
It's that mental tie. He's great. Yeah,
right.
That guy is a dog. He's won there. But if you're Dak Prescott, if you're able to get to free agency, and you're Dak,
do it.
100%.
$300 million guarantee is like a conversation because all you need is two people interested, let alone if there's 4 or 5. Who knows how many there will be. Allegedly for Deshaun, whenever he was asking to be released by the Houston Texans before everything that happened, he was asking to be released. There was like 4 teams involved. There was the Falcons, the Saints, the Panthers, I think, and the Browns. Now, every other team was kind of asking, but those teams were like, allegedly. Now, what do we know? What's real? What isn't real? Shout out to the journalists always getting it right, not lying about anything. Dak's market would be gigantic.
For sure.
All you need is 1 billionaire or 2 billionaires or 3 billionaires to be sick of losing. Like, think about the Giants.
Yeah.
Like, if they've already paid a shit ton of money to a quarterback, it's not working. They have another down year. You don't think O'Mara, who's already been on the record of saying, I'm sick of telling my friends that we suck and why we suck. Like that is the actual decision maker too at the end of the day. If you're going to pay somebody $300 million, you need a couple of, what about the Raiders? What if the Raiders have everything going and they for some reason can't figure out the quarter? I hope they can. I'm not saying they can't. But let's say they can. You think Mark Davis is just going to continue to sit back? No.
No way.
They already done money in a Jimmy G. I mean, they will. Dak Prescott will just be sitting there. And what are the Cowboys going to do?
Yeah.
There is oh my God.
If Stafford retires and in LA, they just, like the Chargers are starting to kind of, it's like you don't think Dak in LA, they wouldn't offer him, a boatload of money.
$175 million. And you mentioned this earlier as a part of another eye-opening reason for it. And we're happy for him. This is just a surprise.
Yeah.
This is a surprise that Trevor Lawrence got this big of a contract. Shout out to his agent. I assume it's Mulligata. I have no idea. I have no idea. But Florida, no state income tax. So normally, that is brought into the conversation because you're not losing out on an extra 10% or 8% or whatever the hell the state income tax is. Florida doesn't have it. So this dude's got like one of the best tax situations in the country and a $275 million contract and a team. The Houston Texans run the AFC South.
Bingo.
So it's like, it's a fascinating. If I'm Dak Prescott, and they're showing stats. They're showing Dak Prescott stats. Of how many games?
50. The last 50 games.
Last 50 games. Putting him next to Patrick Mahomes' stats. And once again, we are in the camp. Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowls.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, we love you.
The difference there.
Yeah, their teams are winning, and who are they playing against and what style, how are they going about doing it? Yeah, there's so many things that contribute to these particular stats. But there's billionaires that are going to see these stats and they're going to say, Dak's available?
Yep.
And what's the going rate? Let's go ahead and do that. He's about to get Dak's about, and he knows it.
Yes,
I assume he knows.
Yeah.
Kirk 180 million.
Yep.
130 guaranteed. Trevor Lawrence 275 with 142 guaranteed or whatever. It's like, holy shit, this money's going through the roof. Good for them.
Well, Like, at what point, too, is it like, hey, instead of doing a 275 with 100 something guaranteed and your cap hit is something every single year, like, at what point do teams just say, like, hey, a 5-year, $200 million contract that is $190 million guaranteed, wouldn't that be cheaper than what they would be going for with the 55 per year?
The 230 million thing is obviously in a part of the conversation, 230 million conversation.
In that bills, but it gives you a couple years.
Yeah, and Kirk did that deal with the Vikings. That was like, I think there was somebody else that offered him, maybe the Jets offered him more, but it was like the guarantee, so you take less to make it a guarantee.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess situation's a situation. Nonetheless, they're all getting broken off.